today's lesson, we're going to work on IELTS Writing Task 2, Strategies and Structure. And in this part, we're going to continue our brainstorming sessions as there's a big need for ideas and how they're generated and the processes of generation of these ideas. And in this part, we're going to talk about some structures and some topics and how to structure them, how to talk about them, and how to do analysis of them. And the topic for today is many supermarkets are selling more and more products that are imported from other countries instead of selling food that is locally sourced. What are the reasons for this? Is it a positive or negative development? As you see, you have two questions there. What are the causes? So cause and effect as a cost structure, and is it positive negative development? Is evaluation an opinion personal view? And as you see, it's a double question, one ideas type, one opinion type, and you have to give a double question structure in this part. If you haven't watched this video, just go back and go watch double questions IELTS Writing Task 2, double question strategies and analysis. And now let's just come up with strategies, come up with ideas, pause the video and think about the topic for 5 minutes and try to come up with your own ideas. And now if you have finished your brainstorming session, I'm going to also try to do the same thing for myself. And the question was causes, positive development or negative development. And as you see, I just try to come up with both positive and negative developments or positive negative aspects of this development, because if you say positive sides of these phenomenon, you have to give negatives as concession. I'll just write concession here, and they will put is that it is? You just put concession. What is concession here? Concession part. And in concession part, as you see, you have to give some arguments, counter arguments to balance your essay, to balance your idea part. And now let's talk about the causes. And one of the causes may be availability issues. What I mean by availability issues is that there are some, they're talking about products, right? So they're talking about only products. Selling food is locally. So they're talking about food, right? So let's just imagine that you are living in Siberia, very cold, almost always winter, and you don't have access to any fruits or vegetables that is grown in tropical areas or some areas where the climate is quite hot and climate is quite suitable for production of or growing such vegetables and fruits and greenery, let's say, and you just have availability issues. Even if you try to produce it in greenhouses, it's going to be very costly. So simply a price. I'm just going to say price. For example, sometimes it's better to import some product rather than buying it. For example, in our country, in Uzbekistan, it's better to import banana or mango or other tropical fruit instead of trying to grow it ourselves, because in our climate it doesn't work and we cannot produce such high quality products. And vice versa, we have the best watermelons, melons, grapes and other fruits, because Central Asia is one of the best places, and Central Asia has been renowned for its fruits and vegetables for decades or for centuries, even in Silk Road, which is mostly transported such products. For example, cotton is better to be produced in our area. So it's just not a food product, but it's just one clear illustration in which just see your price of trying to produce some product in not suitable area will lead to increased costs and it will make it logically and practically impossible, and not impossible, unreasonable to produce it there. So that's why instead of producing it there at high cost and low quality, they just prefer importing this product from somewhere else. So this was price, this was availability issues, and so the third argument will be variety, where well, I said, I don't know, maybe it's wrong idea, variety and vitamins, because, well, for example, if we are in Central Asia and we have problems with seed products, we just cannot have access to seed products. We can do it, as we said, it will be availability and price. So that's why, in order to have variety, people try to import products from some other areas, so that people have all these various vitamins and all these various tastes and cuisine from all over the world. And in addition to, I want to say, well, it's just too much, but I want to add something and increase it. Improved life standards. What I mean by improved life standards is that, well, imagine if you are making, imagine like $300 a month, you're not going to eat, or you're not going to consume, or you're not going to want products from other regions, because it's going to be too costly for you. But as soon as you just become a highly paid person making 1,000 or more, you just start wishing some other products that are from other regions, and which will lead us to another argument, which is, well, believes that products from other regions are better quality, and it's mostly psychological. And there's a saying in English, well, it's everywhere. For example, in Uzbek we have it too. Grass is greener in neighbor's lawn, or over neighbor's fence, meaning that you just don't appreciate products that are produced in your own place, because say, well, it's just nothing. It's just we already have it, but you just search for products, you just search for novelty, and just write novelty here. Novelty, new things. You just try to find new things. You just get bored of old things, and that's why you just search for something that you haven't tasted before, that you want. You think that they just came from somewhere else, and which is higher quality, of course. This is just a psychological bias that people have. And now let's talk about whether these are positive or negative sides, actually. And if you look at the positive sides of these trends, it's gonna lead to improved relations between countries, cultures, because they're gonna feel each other. They're gonna have common emotions, common tastes, common experiences. So I just want to say, improve it. Improved relations between nations, and, well, it can be broadened horizon of citizens. For example, let's talk about sushi. For example, if you're trying to buy sushi, you just search, like, what is this thing actually? Like, why is they producing it in this way, not in that way? How's they producing it? And you're just gonna find new ideas about Japanese culture, Japanese traditions, Japanese customs, their situation, their conditions of life, and their history mostly. Because when you're producing something from foreign countries, it's gonna, not only product is gonna come, the history connected with this is also gonna come, because you will be interested in what you're consuming, and it will lead to overall broaden horizon. And it has also health benefits, because health. Because if you are consuming the same thing over and over again, it's going to lead to some problems in your health. But if you vary your diet, meaning that if you consume different food, different products like daily, it's going to lead to, vitamin, it's going to lead to, it will not lead to vitamin deficiencies in some vitamins and too much abundance of vitamins in some other categories. So it's going to be balanced. It's going to balance out your diet and it will bring health benefits. And now let's move on to the disadvantages. And the first disadvantage that comes to my mind is, local economy. Minus for local economy. Damage for local economy, let's just say. What I mean by this is that, if you are not if you're not buying products from your own farmers or from your own producers, and you're buying something from foreign countries and spending currency for this, I mean, you're spending, for example, if now the global currency is dollars, you're just spending dollars to buy these things, right? You're gonna just buy it in sums. So that's why damage for economy in overall country's economy, because we're just spending our dollar reserves or currency reserves, and it's gonna be it's gonna affect negatively probably, and it will lead to the next part is mostly local scale, meaning you will not be able to it will be bad for farmers, because you will not buy their products, they will not make money, they will just go out of business, they will become bankrupt, so such things. And negative side is, health dangers, health hazards. Health hazards can be explained by different factors. It can be, number one, allergy issues. Number two is maybe the shelf life of products. Shelf life means when the product is produced or grown, it has a certain period of time until it goes bad. So it's called shelf life, meaning that you can consume this product within this period of time. After this period of time, it's very dangerous to consume this product for your health. But if the product is coming from another country, so it's gonna lead to the fact that their shelf life will be shorter, and it will lead to much waste, where just people who bought it and trying to sell it will just think about that. If I just sell it, nothing happens, and it will lead to the risk that you will eat a product that is not that may be spoiled, that is not that fresh. And allergy is the people living in certain area are accustomed to, and their organisms are used to the products that are grown there, that will they have been consuming this product for decades, for centuries, and they will be accustomed to it, they will be used to it. And if some other product comes from another country, it may lead to some unintended consequences. Unintended consequence meaning that you will not know what kind of result it will have. You may have some allergy problems, your body may not be able to accept this product, and then it will lead to problems with your health. These are my ideas in this part for this essay. So I just gave 6 probably causes and 3 advantages and 2 disadvantages. What you have to do is you just have to choose the best 2 causes there if you want to write an essay on this topic. Best 2 causes. What I mean by best 2 causes means that the ones that you can develop, because this may be better, but you may not be able to develop with your own idea. So you have to just choose 2 best ones, and then you have to just pick one side to support your opinion, to agree or disagree with whether it's positive or negative development. And then you have to give concession part. If you gave negative as your main idea, you have to give concession as positive. If you took the positive as your main opinion, you just have to give negative as a concession part. I hope you understood this part, and that's the end of this session. Well, in today's lesson, we'll continue our analysis of our writing test 2 structures, and in this part, we will just continue our brainstorming session, and this is the third video that we're making. And in this part, we're just gonna choose one topic and talk about this and discuss this topic at length. And the topic is, for today, some experts say for road safety, cyclists should pass a test before being allowed on public roads. To what extent do you agree or disagree? And as you see, so they're saying, well, people ride bicycle, and the question is, should they be tested before being able to drive, being allowed to drive on public roads where there are cars, trucks, and other transport vehicles? And the question is, to what extent do you agree or disagree? And in this part, what you have to pay attention to is, and it's different from agree and disagree essay, because when you're giving a disagree essay, you are allowed to say, well, I agree, I disagree. But to what extent do you agree or disagree essay? You have to say, well, I completely agree, I partly agree, and I totally agree. So you just have to give the length, the extent of your agreement with one or another idea or view. And this is this part. Now, let's just draw this brainstorming part session, and here I'll write agree and disagree. And now you just have to pause the video, and for 5 minutes you have to come up with your own ideas. You have to try to find the ideas that will help you in this part. And now, as you have finished, let's move on to my structure, my ideas, and I'm improvising, so I'm just gonna think about it for a minute, and I'm just gonna start with the disagree part. Well, the disagree part is, it may lead to unintended consequences. What I mean by unintended consequences? Unintended consequences are when, I'll just explain it in, an experiment. Imagine there's one city, let's just say it's Tashkent, and authorities of Tashkent decide to put a test on drivers, and they just say, drivers say, I can just drive, or I can ride a bicycle. And they say, if I want to ride a bicycle, I have to pass a test, which is really hard, which is really inconvenient. I don't want to do this. And they say, I just better take a public transport or just drive my own car. And then what does it lead to? And then it will lead to pollution. Well, how is this going to lead to pollution? Because when people are not riding a bike, so they are going to drive, or they are going to use public transport, which will in turn lead to increase in pollution levels. And that's what I meant here. And health issues are because, riding a bicycle is active lifestyle. But if you're not riding a bicycle, you're going to develop some health issues. And it's going to lead to you being obese, overweight, and inactive. It's going to lead to sedentary lifestyle, which is in turn bad for your own health. And then, as a second reason why it's a great word, let me just think. So I wrote efficiency in a agree part. What I mean by efficiency is effectiveness on roads during mostly, especially peak times, because there are a lot of cyclists that are not experienced. They are very inexperienced, and what they're doing is they're just on public roads and they're creating traffic jams. They are interrupting the free flow, free movement of cars and other vehicles, and this means that if they're on the road, it's going to lead to more traffic jams, and it's going to increase the chance of traffic jams being formed. That's why, in order to be efficient, if they know rules, which will require passing the test, if they know rules, they're going to be more thoughtful about how to function on public roads, and this is going to in turn lead to better flow of cars, better flow of transportation and efficiency. As I said, I hope it was clear what I wanted to say. Well, the next part is going to be safety. Well, they said already safety reasons, but we're going to repeat it again. Well, what we mean by safety is when cyclists are on the road, on public roads, and they don't know the traffic rules, traffic regulations, and they're going to make mistakes, and these mistakes are going to cost them with life sometimes, because when the person who's driving a car breaks the law, well, it's going to mostly damage the car, in extreme cases kill the person who's driving the car. But when cyclist is going to collapse with the driver, it's going to lead to at least some kind of damage, physical damage to the person who's riding this bike. So that's why it's mostly safety reasons, health protection reasons. And well, I can just add that it's not a strong argument, but I will still include this. It is equality. What I mean by equality is, well, for example, on roads, there are, truck drivers, bus drivers, there are motorcycle drivers, right? And there are car drivers, and they all have to pass the test. But if cyclists don't take the test or pass the test, it's going to be quite unfair for people who already took the test to have an allowance permit, or to operate or to be on this road. So that's why to reach equality, or to guarantee equality of all transport users, like bicycles also a transport. So we have to make it. We have to make the system. We have to create a system in which the cyclist will have to pass the test for being allowed to on public roads. Well, I just gave three arguments in favor of imposing rules which will require testing, and one big argument against this thing. And I hope this will be enough for our part. And what you have to do if you want to write an essay, you just say, I partly agree, and you just give three reasons why you agree and one reason why you disagree in this part.